Hello, and welcome to episode number 36 of Kwanzoo's ABM POV. I'm Jeff Jewett, and I have with me the CEO of Kwanzoo, Mani Iyer. How you doing, Mani?
Doing well, Jeff. Good to talk to you again.
You staying cool in that heat wave up in San Francisco?
Yes, not too bad, not too bad.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for today's topic. Today we're going to be covering ABM Ad Creatives, and specifically those that drive results. So really best practices for making ABM ads successful. So excited to cover this with you today.
Yeah.
So our first question is, what are some key considerations in the design of ad creative for ABM advertising programs? So what are you seeing that's working, Mani?
Yeah, I think, this is a great one, kind of a setup question for us, Jeff. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put up an example, right, of one or two creatives, and then we can talk through some of the common elements we see against, some of the better creatives that seem to do well. So let me go to our trusty whiteboard, and what I'm going to do is the following, is pull up our first creative, and then we'll talk about what is interesting about this one. So this is one of really long-term clients, Amdocs Vindicia. It performed really well. I mean, in terms of, I think, both site retargeting and ABM advertising type of programs. Very, very, very strong CTRs, click-through rates, and then also engagement on their website and pages. So I would say some common themes here, Jeff, is one is you really need to communicate your core message around a product or solution you're trying to pitch very crisply and clearly. So I think that's one thing I think these folks did pretty well. Second is to really keep it simple and high level. So did you notice the message, increase subscriber retention? So clearly for their target audience, this is subscription billing type of software. That seemed to play very well. Third is use strong visuals. And so here again, as you can see, they show there's a visual component to the creative that again seemed to resonate, seemed to work pretty well. The fourth element that I think we've seen some of the better creatives do well is really make the ROI jump out. Right? So in the copy, if you see, it says increase subscriber retention by 25%. And then, really offer high value, basically have a good value statement in terms of the content. So in this case, it says 7 ways to improve retention and revenue, get a playbook, and so on. And the CTA, call to action has to be very crisp and clear, and it should drive them towards the content. So Jeff, those are certainly some of the key high-level best practices that we've seen.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've got, more to add. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the thing that really jumps out at me, is the fact that you can almost visualize the landing page is going to take you to, and more specifically, you understand exactly what it is that you're getting yourself into as the viewer of the ad. So I know that I'm going to go to a page that's going to have this content, that I'm going to have the opportunity to download it, and like you mentioned, the ROI. Or the value statement of the ad, that 25% retention, that if I read this, the 7 ways to improve retention revenue, that, I have the potential to improve my subscriber retention 25%. So I couldn't agree more that this is a clear value prop, setting expectations, and assuming they're executing on the landing page, that it's going to be a really seamless transition to actually getting that content. So I think this is a great example.
Yeah. And Jeff, I think you had some additional points, right, about what you're calling, you have certain 3 key elements from your point of view. You were calling it, I think, the 3 rules.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think about setting up ABM ad programs, I always ask my designers and the marketers on my teams in the past to really think about it from the rule of 3. So the 3 elements of ABM advertising really are personalization. So making it personal not only to the company, but also to specifically, a department, or if you can even get that granular, get down to an individual level. One of the things that I've always really liked about Quanzio as a platform, for example, is that ability to get to that individual in a specific function in a department within a company. So if you can get that granular with your advertising, that really can speak to the pains of an individual. That really will improve click-through rates. So the second thing is validation. So we have another example that will be showing where we're really showing that whether it's a specific marquee customer, or it's an industry leader like Gartner or Forrester, or even more specifically a publication that's featured your writing in this case, sharing things that can validate your ad, almost like a bandwagon effect, to kind of go to traditional marketing vernacular, but things that can really kind of reinforce that what you're saying, and that you can really help to elevate your brand, provide value. And the last thing is a strong call to action. So as I mentioned here, they not only did they set you up with a strong value prop, but they reinforced it by making it really clear what you're getting, and then even had the call to action, reinforcing it one last time by letting you know that it's a playbook. So again, this is the rule of three for ABM advertising, and it's something that I have all of my creative kind of evaluated based on.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. And one thing I wanted to share was, let me just remove this visual, and then we'll show another visual here to kind of add to the mix. So this visual is to show an example of something that, like a really cool new capability we built out for channel marketing type of use cases. So this is think of it as like a more of a co-branded advertising, right? You have a couple of logos in there. So to your point, this is personalization in the sense that, let's say this is a company that the target account in this case, let's say, is somebody like AT&T, and let's say Cisco is trying to serve up in ABM messages, ad messages to AT&T. Then they can also dynamically populate within the ad unit their partner, their strategic partner that goes with them, right, and services that particular account. In this case, Dimension Data. So it's co-branded advertising with both a brand logo and a partner logo that's dynamic. It can be dynamically populated. So you don't have to create, like 80 or 100 versions of this ad. You can have a single version of the ad, and then have partner logos that just change depending on who the target account is. Jeff?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this definitely hits all three elements. I do see the personalization, and the validation is really clear with the co-branding and the call to action. That you're going to get a report that's going to help you to evaluate the kind of end of life devices on your network. That all feels very, very much in line with what we're talking about.
Right. So let me put up our next question, Jeff.
Awesome. So for our second question, let's see some more examples. How have implementing this rule of three really performed well for organizations, and what kind of success are these companies seeing?
Yeah. So I think now what I thought, Jeff, we could do is to really drill down into metrics, real numbers, and kind of what people should pay attention to. So let's do that next. So what I'm going to do is show examples of 3 different customers, and let's look at what they did, how they did it, what was the audience, and so forth. So take a look at this. This is one of our customers, DocuPace, and as you can see, for them, their audience is in the banking and financial services vertical. They're going after broker dealers. They've got certain key titles: IT, compliance, operations. They're going after Manager Plus. They're running these ABM ad programs with what they call cookie-based targeting. So sourcing third-party cookie data down to these individuals at these accounts. And some of the key metrics folks are looking at these days. The old way, as you know, Jeff, was just focusing on click-through rates. But now we certainly are encouraging our customers to think beyond click-through rates. Think about accounts, and how many of the accounts you're targeting have you been able to engage, and also what we call unique buyers from those accounts. So how many unique different individuals, so part of the buying group, the buying team at that account, are you able to engage? Engage meaning they clicked on an ad or they visited your website, they engaged in a live chat on your website, on and on, right? So with that, I mean, we're not saying don't try to aim for a good CTR and so on, but we're saying think beyond CTRs. Think because many kind of folks looking at ads, they may not necessarily click on the ad. They'll just kind of look at the brand, look at your logo, and then go straight to your website. In this case, they might look for doctorpacetechnologies.com and just go directly to the site. So having said that, some key metrics here to note are the cost per engaged account at about $70 at engaging an entire account. That's pretty healthy relative to, just thinking about one person filling out just a form and paying a cost per lead, which can also be pretty damn high, as you know, right in B2B. So think beyond leads to, think about account engagement. CPCs here at an individual click level are also pretty decent. CTR is actually well above industry benchmarks. We think about like a 0.06 to 0.08 as, fairly typical display CTRs. And the good thing with ABM programs in general are, they're supposed to deliver much higher CTRs than they typically do, right? And then finally, account engagement. Here, as you can see, it's 40% of total accounts have engaged. And so for a first-time ABM ad program where maybe they haven't done much display, maybe, they're just getting started, we typically aim for, Jeff, like 25%, right? 25 to 40% in that range. So if you can already get to 40% plus, that's a pretty good place to be, right? How does this look, Jeff, to you? Any questions on this?
Yeah, no, I think the critical thing here is, you're casting a wide net specifically in terms of your audience, but you're getting more and more specific, specifically with your messaging within the ad, allowing you to get, again, I see here the thing that really stands out to me is that, you're getting multiple engagements on these accounts. And so obviously having those multiple entry points is what's really going to ultimately drive to, improved close rates, specifically on opportunities that are generated from them. As for the ads themselves, I think that, the thing that jumps out at me immediately is how beautifully they're designed. But at the same time, the messaging is really strong. So, really calling out that, avoiding, an emergency within your firm, that's really powerful. The one critique that I would have on this is that, I'm not sure where it's going to necessarily take me, but, at the same time, the messaging I think is powerful enough that, you almost don't care, because you don't want to be caught in that emergency. So, as with any ad, it's all subjective, but I think that this is strong, and more importantly, the results speak for themselves. So, my opinion aside, I can't counteract the results.
Yeah, fair enough. So next one, Jeff, I wanted to talk about is HCL Technologies. They're a large global IT services firm, and this was actually a program they ran to just increase their own brand awareness, going into talk to a lot of companies that were also going to be at this World Economic Forum in Davos. Yep. And so we did a cookie targeting program specifically targeting C-level executives and senior leadership, right, from a list of target accounts that were all, going into Davos. And so again, CTRs were quite strong, 0.1 to 0.12% cost per click. And again, they were all, looking at driving, north of 25, 30, 35% type of engagement of all the accounts that were being targeted. So the last one obviously was more of a demand gen, where you want to go deep, you want to have lots and lots of buyers kind of use case. This one is more about, narrower, but again, more senior leadership, and then making sure there's a healthy level of awareness so that when the leadership from HCL went into this big global conference, they saw strong engagement and awareness of their brand as they were, the leadership was interacting and engaging leadership from other companies. Jeff.
Yeah, I think that this one is very close to perfect. I think that they do a really strong job. I think the personalization aside, I mean, obviously, the personalization that's really happening here is on the audience that they're targeting. But the validation with having Fast Company on there, they do a great job. And more specifically, the call to action here. Specifically that you're going to have the opportunity to just sign up for this event. When the event's going to happen. The only real, I guess, critique that I would have on this is that maybe the language, learn more versus sign up. But again, these results are awesome, and that's the type of thing that's perfect for an A/B test. So yeah, I think this is a great example of a really clean ad, and great call to action.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. And so the final one, let's share with folks is Signal FX. Signal FX, they are a B2B SaaS company, fast-growing company right here in Silicon Valley. And really exciting, what they're doing in serving IT, mid to large enterprise organizations in terms of targeting IT folks, who are Director Plus. And so again, for them, we've got these ongoing cookie-based targeting, what we call job title targeting programs. Again, pretty strong CTRs, very, very compelling cost per click for B2B type of programs and campaigns. And again, another key metrics that they're measuring is cost per engaged account. And look at the number of accounts engaged. I mean, well over 50%. And this is for adjusted right out the gate, first time, literally been just running these for, I think, for like 3 months. So first time program execution, obviously there are many factors at play, right, for why you're getting that type of engagement. But the good news is these are all prospects. They're not even their current customers who are engaging at that level. So something I'm sure must be, and maybe you have more to speak to this, Jeff, but maybe it's that definitive guide. Maybe it is the asset that is, drawing that level of interest from this audience. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just indicative of the shift to the cloud and the infrastructure. I've heard a great statement actually from the CMO of Signal FX recently that, digital experience is the new brand. And part of digital experience really is making sure that, you're maintaining your systems and, having, up-to-date monitoring technology. So I think that probably, part of it is very much the market, but also part of it is, being specific in terms of your audience, really developing strong account lists. The call to specifically going into the ad creative, this is a shift. It's something that's happening, and it's something that's top of mind for a lot of people that are responsible, within the IT function of SaaS-based or web-based solutions, to be on top of this. So again, I think going through the rule of three, it's personalized in terms of, the audience segmentation. It's something that's top of mind, specifically with the serverless monitoring of your systems. This one doesn't necessarily have the validation with the co-branding, but you do see images showing that you're going to actually get some meaningful data from this guide. And that it's not going to be a bunch of fluff. And then lastly, the call to action. Again, I think my ongoing critique has been, learn more. I probably would have gone with download, but again, I can't think of very many programs in the world that you can get 50% account engagement. And again, everything can be an A/B test, and things can always be optimized. And in this case, I could be wrong.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Jeff, so that was it. I think we covered quite a bit, in terms of different kinds of ABM ad programs and creatives and so forth. So let me kind of bring it back to the top, right, where we can talk about, any kind of final thoughts and where do we go from here, right? So let me put up our next topic, Jeff.
Yep, so I'll let this load for a second. So next time, on August 23rd, we're going to be talking about making ABM engagement data actionable across systems. So really just leveraging your data and making it available to your teams and making it really kind of useful for spurring growth. Anything you want to add to that, Mani?
Yeah, so I think this is a really hot topic, Jeff, and the reason is I think marketers, the marketing ops teams, sales teams, customer success teams are simply overwhelmed with all the different touch points where you're collecting all this engagement data. And I think they're all trying to string it together, connected together, making it meaningful, making it actionable, have kind of very, very relevant, buyer journeys that you string together right across all these touch points, whether it's for prospects, whether it's for customers. And then more important, can you filter it down to just the useful, meaningful stuff depending on the audience? Because your sales development reps, SDRs, BDRs may care about something very different than your salespeople, than your account managers, than your CSMs, on and on. So, and then the very, very act of how do you know that an account is an account is an account across all these systems? There's some really interesting things to talk about here, Jeff.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. It was great chatting with you today, Monty.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Thanks, Jeff. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.